basketball great Patrick Young, currently stationed across the Atlantic Ocean in Athens, Greece, here to give you all things Florida basketball and more. First, I want to thank you, wherever you are, from the bottom of my heart. It means so much to me that the folks from the field of 68 Media that have made this podcast possible. If you could please do us a favor as we walk this journey together by hitting the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or whichever platform for the podcast you're using, it will be greatly appreciated. And without further ado, let's get into the show. I'm so excited to have the head ball coach, Coach Mike White, join us today as we get geared up for this upcoming season. Coach, how are you doing down in Gainesville?
Pat, I'm doing awesome, man. Great to see you. You know, we're doing well. We had a good practice this morning. If you had a little bit of eligibility left, we would have been a little bit better, of course.
You know, I wish I could join you. I wish I could get a chance to get in that fast-paced offense and just get up and down there with you. You know, how have you been adjusting to the pandemic and COVID stuff? And I'm sure it's been some unforeseen challenge you couldn't even imagine.
Yeah, it's been nuts, and obviously with all the social issues in the country, and now with election, it's just crazy times. Dramatic night last night, you know, to say the least, as we're all following it and covering it. And we went this morning at 7, and it took a little bit of time to get our guys really going. But we're in the same situation as everybody else, you know, everyone in the country, right, and everyone in college basketball. And, you know, I always tell people that we could have felt sorry for ourselves when we were in pregame meal, we're preparing to play in the SEC tournament, and what seed are you going to be in the NCAA tournament, and can you make a run and finally get it right, you know, as we did in the first 30 minutes of our last home game, and played really well, couldn't hold on. And what kind of run can we make in the tournament? There's no tournament. You're done. And there's no finish to it. And it was so odd, and it was such a depressing feeling. And then you realize that Sully and Jenny and some of these other coaches on campus had arguably the best teams in the country. And it just goes so far beyond college basketball into other sports and most importantly into the general population and society. And it's been nuts. But, you know, you try to take advantage. Some of the silver lining has been self-evaluation of everything in the program. Our guys have been forced to communicate with one another because there's really nothing else to do. We have been an All-American Zoom team. We've done it as much as anyone, you know, again, because what else is there to do? We feel like we've strengthened relationships. We've learned a lot about each other. And again, just with re-examining everything we do as a program, on the court, off the court, in the locker room, in the film room, I feel like we're in a better place right now than we've been, again, because there's been a lot of time on our hands. But I feel like that there's probably, Pat, a lot of programs that feel that way. I think we're going to see a high level of college basketball. I think the product on the floor is going to be a really high level this year. You know, I bet staffs are more cohesive than ever. Coaches will be locked in. Players are just geeked up for the opportunity to compete with someone else and get back to some normalcy. College basketball is right around the corner.
Absolutely. I mean, when your values and the things that you put value into are shaken, it definitely gives you so much more gratitude for those things. And I can only imagine how excited the guys are. I remember I was on campus with you guys January and February, and involved with Athletes in Action, Kevin Sides. And I just remember one of the girls with lacrosse going into her senior year, just how, you know, the NCAA offered her another year of eligibility, but she had gotten into veterinarian school. So it was like, you know, I'd love to play another season, but, you know, I'm not going to miss this opportunity. So, you know, I can't imagine, especially being if it was my senior year, you know, the special team that we had, and then all of a sudden that just being taken away, just, you know, because of coronavirus, something that no one could have ever even fathomed that it would affect and ripple around the world in this manner that, you know, can't even play. And you know what's so crazy? I started this past season in Israel with the team Gilboa Galil in a very, very small town of Ganer, Israel. It's about 30 minutes south of Nazareth. And little did I know, I wasn't really doing much on social media, but I saw Kerry Blackshear post something on his Instagram, and I found out that way that we were going to be teammates. And I got a chance. What a great dude. Quiet guy, awesome guy, quiet guy, but he literally puts his hard hat on, does what he needs to do every day. And I got a chance to talk to him about, missing out on the tournament this last year, and definitely a little upset about it. But something we all have to do in this time is just be able to move forward, look at the silver lining, double down on the assets that we have in life, and just continue to move forward. But Coach, I wanted to start this thing off talking about, for people that aren't Gator fans, that don't know who you are, give us a quick little synopsis about how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, sure. And Pat, if you don't mind, I got to circle back because you mentioned KJ Blackshear, and whenever given the opportunity, I like to tell people that he was way out in front in terms of, the guys that come to your mind as your favorite 2, 3, 4 guys you've ever coached. He's in that category for sure. And since you're friendly fire, you're a Gator, you're not media, right? So I can talk about this with you, but how about the fact that what's wrong with KJ Blackshear all year? What a disappointing season. He had a monster season for us. We were very average in so many categories, and he helped us hold it together. Had great numbers, never had a bad practice, never sat out of a practice, never made excuses, never got caught up with I got to get my numbers because of the national media, external noise. He's supposed to be this, he's supposed to be that. We didn't do a good enough job around him, so loved coaching him. Simply, Pat, I played at Ole Miss in this league and was a part of some really good teams, coached by Rob Evans, who really resurrected the Ole Miss basketball program. First 3 at-large bids in school history were my sophomore, junior, and senior years. Our senior year, we were coached by Rod Barnes. After Coach Evans took off to Arizona State, Coach Barnes went on to become the national coach of the year a couple years after we graduated. But had a great experience there and went to Jacksonville State. Very much a learning experience under Mike LaPlante, a great friend, a really young head coach who had just helped take Auburn to the NCAA tournament as a number 1 seed. I think he got that job at maybe 30. I was 23 as an assistant for him. I wish I was a little bit older. I would have done a better job for him. We're still very, very close. And then I was called back to Ole Miss on my alma mater by Rod Barnes, who gave me an opportunity of a lifetime. And we couldn't turn it. We couldn't hold on. So I've been fired before, and we were fired as a staff. And I was chasing guys to class and looking for a job for a month, calling everyone I knew in the business. And Kira and I had already started having kids and young family, and it was trying times, and you don't know what's around the corner and where you're going to get your next check. And Andy Kennedy got the job, and we went through a couple week courting process there. And he decided to retain me. He kind of told me in passing as we were on a recruiting trip, like it wasn't a big deal. I almost started crying. I was so fired up immediately.
Wow, that's awesome.
I think I said I had to go to the bathroom. So I called my wife and get away and say, hey, we got a job. We're good.
Yeah.
and then we're there 5 years and went to some NITs and had some success, but didn't quite break through where you'd think you'd have to break through enough to get a bunch of options with head jobs. So I really didn't see it coming, and the athletic director at Louisiana Tech called out of the blue. And went through a quick process there, was offered the job, hit an absolute grand slam, just punched the right lottery ticket with we took 3 high school seniors that spring, Pat. So this was May 1st, I got the job at Louisiana Tech. And probably by about late May 20th, just making it up, we had signed Mike Kaiser, Speedy Smith, and Raheem Appleby. All 3 were 4-year starters. 3 of the best 10 players in the history of the school. Speedy Smith led the nation in assists. Mike Kaiser led the nation in block shots. We just had a really, really good class, and it was a great experience. And then, of course, we had a chance. We won 3 championships in a row, and then I remember like it was yesterday. I was in the office in Ruston, and I loved Louisiana Tech. My wife and kids alike, and we were very comfortable. I don't know that I would have ever left, honestly, if Florida or there might have been another 3 or 4 schools, who knows, that that may have called to entice you to want to leave. But we had turned down some high level, lucrative opportunities at some big brand names and some incredible institutions. But we were just really happy where we were. And, you know, the grass isn't always greener.
It is not. It is not.
Yeah, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And we loved
Yeah.
the team we had coming back, and we loved what we had built. Loved my guys. And I was watching the press conference. We were shocked to see Coach Donovan was leaving. I was always obviously very fond of Coach Donovan. And you guys, we had just watched you guys win about 100 games in a row, right? Your year.
Yeah, something like that.
Goodness. And, you know, he's off to the NBA. And I remember thinking for a split second, man, I wonder if they call, you know, if they call me Florida, probably have to do that one. You know, I have to tell Kira, and I wouldn't have to argue with her. She's born down here, family's down here. She's got sisters down here, parents down here. And it was maybe that night, maybe the next night where Jeremy Foley called, and it led to, you know, 4 or 5 conversations over the next few days, and they flew up, and it has been a whirlwind since.
Man, I remember there was some events happening on campus. I can't remember the exact, maybe the Alumni Center. And I got a chance to hear you talk about your hiring process. And Coach, I got to tell you, you are one of the most humble guys I've ever met in my life. Just the excitement, the reverence that you have for the position, and how you share it with your family. Is there, you know, the pedigree you have, the intelligence, the basketball knowledge, getting a chance to be around you? You know, a lot of people, fans, don't get a chance to see what you do behind closed doors and how hard you work. Has there, and when listening to you, it was almost like, man, I don't deserve. It's almost as if I didn't deserve to be here. Has there ever been a time where you were just like, it clicked for you, like, I'm the guy? You know, it wasn't a linear path for me to get to this position, but it's not by chance that I'm here, that I am in this position, getting a chance to coach a great organization that Jeremy Foley, that is who knows how many championships, I can't count, he has under his belt, that he placed you and decided it's not by chance that you are where you are.
Oh, you're very kind, brother. Much respect. We've said it 1,000 times. We just feel so blessed and fortunate to be here. You got to be kidding me. It's what we sell to recruits every day. It's one of the most unique places in the country. We're ranked now the 6th public academic institution in the country. We've got one of the best academic complexes for student athletes in the entire country. Our arena now is just completely revamped. It looks brand new.
It's
insane. It's beautiful. Every sport on this campus is competing for national championships. Oh, and by the way,
every year.
It's 80 degrees out without a cloud in the sky right now, and I should be out there jogging. I'm looking forward to getting back out there in a little bit. But it's a beautiful place, a great place, 50,000, incredibly diverse. It's an awesome university and town and place to raise our family. And you know, to answer your question, I don't know that you ever feel like, you know, I'm the guy and I deserve to be here. And I don't know that I'll really ever feel that way. And you know, there might be another stop or 2 or 3 or 4 on the road for myself and my family. Maybe not. Who knows? Who knows what's around the corner? But I'm not sure I'll feel different moving forward either. You know, you feel fortunate to be at these places. Heck, I would have begged Billy D to come here and be his film coordinator, you know, 15 years ago. And now I'm sitting literally, I think this is the chair he sat in. It's crazy. It's something I'm not sure that will ever fully sink in.
Yeah, I think it's awesome to have that consistent amount of hunger, a healthy hunger that continues to drive you. And in the aspect, I've been around you for a little bit. I wouldn't say I've gotten a chance to spend a great amount of time, but the sample size that I've gotten from you, Coach, I got to say, you're an everyday guy. Positive, passionate, consistent. And I know human nature, or as Billy D would say, human nature, sometimes he forgets his H's. And I got a chance to ask you this on the sideline in between practices. You know, what is your why? What keeps you motivated and to stay consistent and continue to push? Because it's so easy to get relaxed and to say, I made it or I've accomplished something. So now I can, you know, put my feet up a little bit and just allow what's going to happen. Instead of continuing to push yourself And that's
Yeah.
something we all have to fight, and not just in where you are now, but as humans in general, we have to fight that every single day.
Yeah. Like you, I'm a man of faith. I'm a proud Irish Catholic. And, I think instilled in me growing up was, we talked about humility, and you possess a ton of humility yourself, and we all should, and we all need to be even more humble than we are, and
Absolutely.
gratitude is a word we talk to our team about a lot. And I've got some weaknesses for sure, but I feel like it is a strength of mine, to have gratitude and just appreciation for all of these gifts and the fact that it started as a kid, and maybe it was mom and dad beating it into our heads, and some of the great teachers we had. And I've worked for, and played for some really good coaches that taught me as much about life as they did basketball. But again, this is what we think about gratitude all the time. I know I do. I try to instill in my kids' brains and their behavior, and our guys here on campus, between the lines, that what's your why. Ultimately, we've got this opportunity. We showed up at 7 this morning, and it was hard. We put them through some hard drills. We did the transition defensive drill disadvantage for about an hour. You've been there, done it.
Oh man, woo!
Right?
That's a fun drill.
It's hard, and it exposes character, and it provides opportunities for leadership. We've got, Pat, where we call it the feelings drill now, because it immediately gets people in their feelings. As you can't get out of the drill because you can't get 2 consecutive perfect stops in a row. But you know what? There's a million people around this world that wish they were between these lines this morning at 7 o'clock. And it's just a constant reminder of how fortunate we are to be doing what we do. We're healthy. We've got gifts, and we got to utilize them.
Man, that's extremely encouraging for me. We get so caught into the mirror. We're in such an egocentric time in our world, where everyone is looking at themselves and what they don't have, and it's hilarious. I follow a lot of the life hackers like Dave Asprey or Ben Greenfield, and they do all types of crazy type of things, whether it's the supplements they take or the lights that they put themselves, the things they put themselves through. They all agree that the number one life hack is gratitude. Nothing touches your life and changes your life more than practicing gratitude daily. So I'm so excited to hear that. That's something I'm striving to put into your guys. So following a guy like Billy D, what has that been like? And what were some of the hurdles that you feel as though you had to overcome early on?
I think the biggest hurdle early, Pat, was recruiting. Understanding recruiting at this level, because even as an assistant at Ole Miss, we just weren't recruiting the same type guys that the University of Florida recruits, and developing the relationships, fighting for consideration and faith in our program, trying to sell that the program's really healthy. It just took time. It took a year or 2 or 3 for coaches and high school coaches, AU coaches, parents, recruits to watch us play, to visit campus, for us to develop relationships by going to see them, to where, okay, what, I can see myself, sending my son there, or, my player there, or what have you, for kids to take the leap of faith on the new guy, at Florida. It was a little bit shocking because of the admiration and respect that I have for this place and everything that you guys accomplished. I naively thought, man, when I get down there, we're going to get through the press conference, we're going to meet as a staff, and we're going to go through the top 50 guys in the country, right? And we're going to decide that 10 or 12 we're going to chase, and we're going to get 4 or 5 of those guys. I mean, we struck out on the first 100 guys that we tried to get. That whole first class, we should have just moved on to the junior and sophomore classes, probably the sophomore and freshman classes, because that's when we really started breaking through. Thank goodness we were able to get some guys in the meantime that did take that leap of faith. And so those were the biggest hurdles. And, the following a legend, I just spun it on myself. I've talked about it a lot. As a positive. I mean, I don't think that I would have been really excited for Jeremy to call if Billy hadn't done what he did here. You know, he turned it into one of the
Right.
best jobs in the country. And again,
Right.
you know, you guys like yourself are sprinting up and down the court and cutting down nets and getting drafted and so on and so forth. It became a destination place. And so it's become a positive. And, you know, since you get here, it's not like, you know, I imagine that if I were to search Twitter and read all the people that cover us, and I probably could have got caught up into some, oh my goodness, they're saying this, they're saying that, and they said Billy did this, and why doesn't this new staff do that? And I just hadn't paid any attention to any of it. It's just a complete waste of time. I mean, if you can't control it, and again, it's probably been a strength of ours as a staff. You're just not going to win that battle. Let's just do the best we can today. Let's grow today. That's our daily goal. Growth, simple. And you can't control that stuff. There's going to be things written about us, and we tell this to our team every single day, that's positive that probably shouldn't be quite so positive. Then there's going to be some outlandishly negative things, and none of that matters. That doesn't control how well we practice today, how we prepare for the next opponent, how we're developing as men, and those are things that we focus on.
Gosh, you got into so many things right there. I'm not even sure where to hop in first, but I'm gonna read you some statistics here, comparing your first 5 years to Coach Donovan's first 5 years. So far, you have a 108 and 65 win-loss overall, 62% win. Donovan was 102, 56, 64%, around the same. SEC, in the SEC, 54 and 36 for you, 60% winning percentage. And Donovan, 45 and 35 in his first 5 seasons, 50%. Among all SEC teams since 2015, Florida has had the toughest overall strength of schedule as well as non-conference strength of schedule. Also, despite the challenging slate the Gators face every year, the program rates second in the SEC according to Kim Pop rating in SEC wins, turning wins, and third overall in wins in the past 5 seasons. So, looking at these statistics right here, it seems as though I'm going to say we because I'm a Gator. I'm right there with you.
I love it. You're firing me up, man.
We're right there. We're you know, from being able to be around the team, you, fans, etc., the media, everyone seemed to say like there was just, we have the roster, we have the coach, we have the fan base. There's just something that we can't get our finger on to remain and finish some games, to just be able to be exactly, you know, Gator fans. You're coming from what Billy Donovan had to do, and we being a school that's so accustomed to winning, so accustomed to being in the limelight, and we're always competitive. We're always there, but you know, we're expecting to cut down some nets. What do you think that, you know, coming to this next season, that you're going to be, that's going to change, that is going to help the team to be able to put that finger on those things that seems to be eluding the program?
Yeah. We got to take that next step, you know, Pat, and it's a national championship Final Four level program, and we were knocking on the door there 3 years ago, of course, up 7 at halftime and couldn't hold on. And you know, last year we thought we had a chance to be that competitive again, after coming off a couple tournament mini runs, you know, where we advanced, and who knows what could have happened last spring. But in the regular season, I'll be the first to admit, we should have won more games. We just should have. It took a long time to get it going offensively, and defensively, it was our worst team here in 5 years. The commitment level on the defensive end, mixed with the overall level of youth. And, you know, when asked directly by media last year, I would talk about youth a little bit, and sometimes I would bring it up, to be dead honest. But I also didn't want it to be an overwhelming theme, because I didn't want our guys to have an excuse. But we were the youngest team in Power Conference basketball last season by a landslide. That said, in addition, and that's according to KenPalm.com, in addition, our lone senior was new in KJ Blackshear. And then we had 2 redshirt juniors who were factored into that math, who didn't end up playing because they were injury riddled all season in Gorjak Gak and Dante Bassett. So 9 new guys, painfully young. And that led to a lot of the defensive inconsistencies, the lack of chemistry offensively, probably try to utilize too much depth, shot selection. I've got to prove to coach I can score when I get in the game.
Right.
It was just a very average, streaky team. And how do we get better? And, hopefully we play much older this year. Thought we had a really good practice this morning. We are older. This team still doesn't have a senior. We don't have a senior on this team. But being older, we can't assume that we're going to play older. We've got to play. We got to make better decisions. We have to understand that the individual stuff, like you guys did, Pat, it'll come if we win. If we win, we will all win. And last year's team, we struggled with that more than any team we've had, where it just seems like so much of the external noise eased its way into the locker room. And we got to play the right way. Just let's simplify it, man. Let's not turn the ball over. Let's take great shots. We call them A shots. A few less F shots than we took last season. Got to be better in transition defense. I think this team is more physical. This team is very, very athletic. Not quite as skilled as last year's team. So that's if this team maxes out, we can be good. And I say that every year. I know people get sick of probably hearing it, but I'm a pretty simple guy.
Hey, simple is the best way to do it. And want to transition into, you just alluded to it, poison, social media. You do a really, really good job of blocking out the external noise. And I know it affects recruiting. It affects your guys currently. I was even worried about it for, how many teams they go back home during the pandemic, and the families have the best intentions, but they don't have a team mindset. How do you manage, and you as a staff approach? Because I hate to say it, a lot of players get smoke blown up their butts coming out of high school. They're the guy, and don't get me wrong, there are a few guys that are very special that can come into college and they can be that guy. But for the most part, I came into college, a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, Pat Young, top 20 recruit, McDonald's All-American, it's going to be my year. I'm going to give me a starting spot. But then there's class, there's study hall. Freshmen, I'm not sure if you guys do it, but there's a mandatory 5 hours per week of study hall. All of the scouting, goodness gracious. I didn't know anything about all these schemes and plays and getting there early, the weight room and the seriousness of that. It can be so overwhelming. And yet people tend to, in this day and age, get stuck on the end goal, and they don't realize that the journey to get there is so tough. So when you're allowing these outside noises to get in the way of you doing the work and building that foundation for you to be there, you're going to get lost. You're going to get frustrated. There's going to be a disconnect. You're going to miss the opportunity to become who you want to be.
Absolutely. We talk about the process, and most programs do. I'm sure it's a word that's worn out, like culture and so many others that we've already used. But so many guys want to skip steps in that process. And I'm sure you had bumps in the road, as I did when I played and throughout my coaching career. And we all go through it in all walks, really, and probably in all sports, where there's a process that has to take place for you to grow and maximize your potential. And you cannot skip steps. It doesn't matter what Instagram or Twitter says about you. That's not reality. Sometimes it is. And I'm not, I hate to sound negative. I know sometimes when I'm talking to my team about social media, I can come off very negative about all of it. When, I think there's positives to it too. There's an opportunity for our guys to use their platform, which I think they do in an incredible way. Social media, you can learn a lot from. It can be educational. It can be inspirational. Sharing information, you could go on and on, but you've got to be really careful too with, you said it, Pat, some of these guys on the front end, it's poisonous, to where guys have to be completely reprogrammed from the first practice on campus because they've been celebritized, since they're 14, 15 years old, and they're told, you said smoke, how good that they are. And you have a chance to be good. You were good against that average high school team. You made a lot of mistakes during that game that will cost us a win at this level. And you were able to get away with it because you were the most talented guy on the floor. And, those are all things that we talk about ad nauseum, as I'm sure most staffs in the country. And then I think equally as important is to stay off of the social media, especially during the season. I mean, after every loss, or even if you're supposed to beat a team by 10 and you beat them by 3, all the negativity out and all the answers, everyone's got all the answers. There's
everyone always has answers. Yeah.
Millions, of the armchair quarterbacks and point guards and coaches out there. And, our guys, I could tell you so many stories without putting our guys' business out there. I won't. But, I've had several kids, Coach, I swear I'm off social media. I'm off social media. And then he struggles that night, and we're on the bus heading to the plane, and he's retweeting positive stuff or negative stuff or responding to some. Like, these kids sometimes will literally Twitter search themselves, and it's poisonous. It is a fantasy world. None of that matters. It's not reality. What's reality is preparing for your next practice, taking film and criticism the right way. It's okay to make mistakes. I know you don't think you made many in high school. You made a million in high school. They just didn't result in you losing. So I think that curve and how quickly guys can learn at this level these days, how to deal with that, whether they decide to even deal with it at all. But if they're going to engage in it, how you psychologically overcome it and deal with it is a huge factor in individual success, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's this generation that's coming up in so much interaction with people that don't even know them. I don't believe that, okay, can we promote ourselves and build our brand? Yes, but are we to allow the opinions of people that are hundreds and hundreds and thousands of miles away to impact our value and who we are? Mm-hmm. Or the people that see us every day, that are our coaching staff, that want the best for us? No, we shouldn't. We should do a much better job. I hope these kids can hope kids now, I hope kids that aren't playing sports, people in general. I got the opportunity to watch the documentary, The Social Dilemma, and it's just so disheartening to see how many kids and people in general allow their value and their identity to be pushed by the ebbs and flows of other people's opinions that don't even know them personally, off of some comment, off of a number of likes. And it's like, come on, you're so much more than this, because as we know, people only post the good stuff on Instagram anyway. No one's posting and talking about Ball is Life and these other, they're only posting the highlights. They're not posting the mistakes that you're saying. Like, no one's pointing out to the criticism. So a lot of these kids, when they get to college and they have a coach that wants to help them get better in the way that is from criticism, and it's not from attack their character or to say that they're a bad player, but it's to help them to see that their blind spots so they can be better, more efficient, and help the team. Because at the end of the day, I don't care how good you are at scoring. If you can't get over a screen, if you can't box a guy out, if you can't front the big guy in the post, if you can't do anything that the coaches is asking you to do set-wise, why should I put you on the floor?
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And I think it's also important for our guys to understand it's not only what is posted about them, and you talked about certain YouTube highlight videos or what have you. Even our guys having videos and highlights from practice, what's posted are the highlights and not the missed free throws and the fouls and the defensive miscues, but also what our guys are posting. And you talk about fantasy versus reality. We'll have a guy every so often that we'll check. And I'm not on social media, but my staff does a great job of really closely monitoring everyone on our team. And you'll have a guy in Denver, of course. Yeah, he's the best. But you'll have a guy post something that may be educational for young people, and it's inspiring, and or a photo shoot of himself. And it's something that he really wants out there, yet he had a really bad practice that afternoon and missed class that morning. You know, let's focus on those things. Those things are more, that's real life. That's your future, and directly correlated to your future. And the social stuff has got to come behind that.
Absolutely. Yeah. When the NBA scouts are going to call, they're not going to ask about your photo shoot. They're going to ask about your character. And I know you well enough to know that you're going to be upfront and honest about how this guy was and how this guy wasn't. And that's the way it should be. Why would you want to tarnish your reputation for someone that couldn't do the simple things that you asked them to do that relate to real life? But you just mentioned it. I wanted to bring up, how have you and your staff approached? I was looking at your social media just for a second before I got to speak with you. And how have you helped the guys? I know with the amount of social injustice and the things that have been coming up, how have you as a staff helped to help the players responsibly get their voices out there, and to understand that, you know, you're not trying to silence them, but to do it in the best way and to support them? How have you guys approached allowing the players to voice their opinions?
Yeah, simple. Conversations with the team, listening, asking questions first and foremost. Hey, let's talk. What's important to you guys? How do you want to utilize your voice? How can I help you? And with people like Denver, who you mentioned, Denver's been great for our guys, and Alicia and our guys have been incredible with wanting to, again, use that platform and express themselves, educate others, and they've done it at a really high level. Led by a couple in particular, and Scotty Lewis and probably Anthony Derugi, and the rest of our guys for the most part have really embraced their leadership in these regards. But I mean, we all should be doing it. I don't think we're doing anything extra special here. You know, all of the student athletes across the country should be able to utilize their platform and express themselves. And it's no different here at Florida. Our guys in particular in men's basketball, I think, have just done a really good job. And it's been, for us, we've been proud to be, you know, a very small part.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Coach. All right, Coach, I want to get into this next question by Super Gator Jerome Millman. He's speaking about our pace of play. So your pace of play at La Tech was high energy, fast paced. Do you believe we have the personnel to become and take that same type of approach that was 7th in the nation in turnovers forced, as well as top 10 steals nationally? Do you believe that we finally have that personnel to push it the way that you did before you came here?
Yeah, good question, Jerome. And Pat, you and I both know that he is Mr. Gator. He'll pop up on you in any hotel lobby in the country when you least expect it. He travels all over the country supporting us. He's the best. I feel like our Elite 8 year, I thought that we were really quick and really fast and long and athletic and deep, and we were really old. And our tempo was pretty good, and we were able to press and get out in transition. And if you remember, Casey Hill and Chris Chioza and Kayvon Allen all on the court at one time led to a lot of speed, as much as anyone in the country. And I'm not sure we're quite that fast, but we may be more athletic up front at a couple spots. And our depth athleticism is probably greater, depending on how many guys we can play. Guys are going to have to earn minutes, of course, but yeah, we're back to pressing and running and being more up tempo.
Let's go.
Obviously, certain teams are going to slow you down a little bit more, and one in particular that I envision early season. And certain teams, I think we'll be able to get out and run on more. I feel like we got away a little bit from our identity in recruiting, and that is on me. You know, you live and you learn, and we're as convicted as ever moving forward to play the way that we want to play. I'm having more fun in practice right now than I've had in a couple of years, for sure.
I love it. All right, Coach, I got a few quick hitters for you, as well as a story that I'd like for you to to give us. First one, who is the best noon ball player on the staff?
Okay.
And what former staffer does your squad need now?
What former staffer? The best noon ball player, really, I'm the only one left, and we hadn't played in a while. I'm the worst player in our program, hands down.
Come on.
I'm so bad now. I need like 4 screens just to get the ball, and then I need another couple screens to get a shot off. And my Achilles, with every step, feel like they're about to pop. I hadn't boxed out.
You can't get hurt.
I hadn't boxed out in a decade. But the one thing, if you go by like Synergy or Ken Palm numbers, I probably have the best efficiency because I win every game because I stack the teams. You know, the best managers I'm going to put on my team. And then I make the worst defensive manager guard me. So my percentage is through the roof. And our managers are such good kids that sometimes they just let me drive it and go get a layup, you know, for my mental health, especially after a loss. It's funny. After a loss midseason, I get buckets. I mean, I score my butt off. So
if I ever get a chance, Coach, to come and play a noon ball game, it's no mercy.
Yeah,
you know,
you're going to be on my team. You're going to be on my team.
If we're not, I'm sending that thing into the floorboards across the other side.
You don't have to worry about that because I won't play.
2014.
I'm not on your team. I'm not playing. And then also I'm the best ref. Like if we're down and we need a call, we might just get a call. If I miss like a little floater in the paint, I might call a hand check. Dusty Mays at FAU, we miss him because he was the greatest wall-up guy of all time. Like guys would be afraid to drive it on him. I mean, he would wall you up out of bounds, and then he might call a charge on you.
Oh, man, I wish I could see that. This next one's from Jeff Goodman himself. How do you keep your shirt so well tucked in during the games? Your shirt just stays so perfectly tucked in. Like, how do you do it? When
you said a question from Goodman, I should have known he was going to with me. I'm not going there.
Don't even know how to answer, right?
No, it's tucked in, and I guess I'm
thinks you're trying to show off a little bit.
Are you supposed to untuck it? If so, maybe I'll do that. But I don't want my mom.
I don't know.
Yeah, I deal enough with my mom post-game phone calls, win or lose, with the utmost concern on the tie I wore rather than how many shots we played or how well we defended. You know, so the untucked shirt might take it to another level.
She's a mom first before she's
oh my goodness.
You know. Last one, Coach. I gave you a little update because I know you needed a heads up on this one. Tell me, please, your favorite story working as an assistant to Andy Kennedy, please.
You know, I've got hundreds, and Pat, you said it. You texted me earlier to make sure it was a PG story. For those of you who don't know Andy, he's the head coach now at UAB and had a great run as a head coach at Ole Miss for a long time. And he's the funniest human being on the planet. If anyone had a chance to watch him do games for the SEC Network and ESPN the last couple of years, you would know that. I'd go out of my way to Pat, in scouting, you know, when we're scouting opponents, I'd never listen to the volume. Like when the commentators are talking about, you know, whatever, giving any type of I've got instrumental music so I can lock in, right? But when the last couple of years when AK was doing games, I had to listen to the volume just to get 3 or 4 just laugh out louds during the game. Hysterical. I could probably go back to the Tad Pad. So again, I played at Ole Miss, and it was Tad Smith Coliseum is where I played, and I have fond memories of the place, and we had some good teams there, and it's a great history in that place. But it was really, really outdated, of course, when Andy got the job. And immediately he started calling it the Sad Pad. I mean, he's got 100 new jokes a day. The Sad Pad, he wanted to start building a new facility before we even coached a game, right? And I remember we were out at lunch one time, and a donor walked up, or a fan, and he had never met Andy, and he said, hey, what do you think about the Tad Pad? We're excited to see you out there. We'll see you at the Tad Pad when the season starts. And AK says to him, he says, well, first off, it's the Sad Pad. I don't know if you've been there in a while, but the place is really, really sad. And I think it's proof that when they built the thing in the 60s, there were a lot of people in Oxford that were smoking marijuana. I mean, that's how he described how the Sad Pad looked. And then later on that
just
summer,
some random person.
Some random guy. And he'll say whatever to anybody just to amuse other people and amuse himself. You know, he's hysterical. And then that summer we had an NCAA certified event on our campus at Ole Miss, and we had a high level recruit from I think his name was Leslie McDonald, if I'm not mistaken, from Memphis, who was getting recruited by Duke and Carolina. And so Coach Krzyzewski flew in, really literally on our campus. We were recruiting a kid too, but it was an NCAA certified event, and he's up in the stands in the sad pad, getting ready to recruit, and he's evaluating this kid. And we see a squirrel running around the stands that we had seen a bunch. You know, often you would see a squirrel just hopping around the stands in the tad pad. And he walks over to Coach Krzyzewski and he says, hey, listen to what I told Coach Krzyzewski when I walked up on him. He said, Coach, I'm not here to pick your brain. I'm here to protect you from the squirrel that's running around the stands. I don't want you to get rabies. That's one of his better stories.
Oh my goodness. That's one of the better ones. Yeah, I can only, when I come back to games, I'll need to hear some of the other ones for sure.
Oh my, he said Coach K didn't know how to respond.
Oh, I can't even imagine. But Coach White, thank you so much for your time. I am really looking forward to this upcoming season. I can't wait to see this new look offense, especially this team that's gotten a chance to mature a little bit and really get a chance to spend some more time with each other and connect and just see how they respond with a more grateful attitude coming to the season. Keep bringing that winning energy. Keep being that same everyday guy. Can't wait to see you sometime soon.
Likewise, Pat. Appreciate your time, man. Great job. Go Gators.
Go Gators.